This is not really a diversity conference at all. It is a leaders conference, and we're talking about everything from the global capital markets to blockchain, cryptocurrency, nationalism, populism, and that impact and the integration, if you will, with the corporate agenda. We're going to have a millennial panel. What really makes this a senior multicultural leaders conference is the audience that we target. We're targeting the most senior African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, and American Indians that are in corporate America today. And by virtue of who's speaking, that makes the conversation a little bit different. But the content at all is not about diversity and inclusion the way we think about diversity and inclusion conferences.
So why even have a separate conference
that
frankly, focuses on this audience?
Yeah.
You're not going to be talking any differently.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why. When we looked around in the marketplace, Becky, there was no conference where the most senior professionals in corporate America had a chance to come together. As a woman of color, when I am invited to a broad leadership conference, you can count the number of people of color in the room. When I am invited to a broad women's leadership conference, you can count the number of women of color in the room. Right. So I started scratching my head, given that I know quite a lot of C-suite folks who are multicultural. Where are they getting this business content, this leadership content that we offer when we're having a conference, or that I see when I'm out there? So I said it doesn't exist in the market, and you know how I feel about market gaps, inefficiency, and opportunity.
Do you feel, when you look out, Carla, at that crowd, do you feel encouraged? Or do you still feel like, darn it, I'm discouraged, we still got some work to do, there's not enough people still in that audience?
Yeah, I'll have to say, at the margin, I am encouraged, and I'll tell you why. We have limited the audience to 300, because frankly, that's all we can get in the Pierre. And every year,
it's not a bad place to hold it.
We have people on the waiting list, and we have people actually showing up off of the waiting list to say, well, I'm hoping somebody doesn't show up, can I get a seat? So that tells me there's a big appetite for this kind of conference, and that there are more people that would like to be in that room. So I am at the margin encouraged. Still more to do, but encouraged.
How much of this, I mean, you've done an amazing job bringing this group together. How much of this group, or how much of the conversation ends up, though, being about inclusion and about how, look, if I was a recruiter, I would want to be all over this conference.
That's exactly right. And very little of the content, if any, actually migrates towards the conversation about diversity and inclusion, because these are business professionals, and senior at that. So there are discussions that they want to have that will impact the way they do business and the way they do business with each other. That really is what's driving the conversation outside of the room when we're not actually having a panel or a fireside chat.
Carla, how come none of these other conferences seem to have picked up on this? And how come it's not, you're speaking the same to these people. How come these other conferences haven't figured out, hey, there's a big part of the audience that we're missing?
I have to tell you, Becky, I still hear people in the marketplace say things like, well, we can't find them. It's difficult. And I have to tell you that it matters who's asking, number one, and if you extend yourself, you can find them. So I can't speak to why they're not.
Can I say, so I do a conference, and I will admit that I have struggled with this issue in terms of trying to find the right mix of people. But
isn't it the people that can buy the ticket?
No. Because right now, if you look at just women who are running companies in corporate America today, you have to be a unicorn. I mean, there is so few of them. It is so hard. It is truly hard to find.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, I'm really encouraged about that as well, because I have been going to and speaking at, frankly, a lot of women's leadership conferences over the last couple of years, and those conferences are growing in number, number one. Number two, I'm really encouraged because the millennial women in particular have an appetite towards entrepreneurship and leadership. So I think that if we look out 10 years from now, you will see more women who are sitting at the top of major corporations.
I think 10 years from now, there's a whole new generation that's going to change the way corporate America looks. But it's so interesting that even at this moment, despite all this conversation we have, that it hasn't changed yet.
Well, you need three things to make it work: intentionality, accountability, and consistency. And you can argue that we certainly have not had the consistency, because when I think about just financial services in particular, every time there's a bull market environment, there's a lot of focus, there's a lot of activity, a lot of recruiting. But when we get in a bear market environment, it doesn't go away, but the intensity goes down. And whenever you have a bear market environment, you have restructurings, you have reductions in force, and then you lose your pipeline. So what happens when it's a bull market environment? You're starting all over again. That's one of the reasons I think it has taken us so long to get there.
That's an excellent point.
You vexed us, though. because you are a market person. And you said at the beginning, at the first answer, you said you don't like market inefficiencies, yet why are you doing it at the Pierre and constricting supply? If there's only 300 seats, Carla, why not open it up? Or are you trying to create that sort of...
You need a velvet rope. It helps.
Velvet, whatever
it's
it is.
New York, right?
Why constrict supply artificially?
Yes, and I'll tell you, in the beginning, we wanted to be careful about supply so that we could have frank conversations in the room, right? Because we have really senior people, and we want people to be able to say exactly what they think. So that's why we've been very careful about the number. But this is our third year doing it, and there is no debate now about the market demand. So we will, among the partners, which include Target this year and Deloitte, they actually were with us at the very beginning. They're founding partners. AARP is with us this year as a sponsor as well. We will have to have a conversation post this conference about how we navigate a larger size and still keep the intimacy.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.